Good evening, fellow morons. How are we doing this week?
Okay, fine.
Sitting
Awesome,
here
man.
on a Tuesday night doing a stream as well. With the amount of changes that we've been doing as of late, people are going to forget. Wonder if I'll actually get people in to watch us.
Hopefully.
Typically we do a Monday night. I think last week was Thursday. This week is Tuesday. Next week, will we even bother? What are we doing?
We'll go back to Mondays. We need to go back to Mondays.
I've got a request as well. The 17th's my birthday, and Sean will be at the Celtic game, so we'll need to change that as well.
So it's going to be a birthday stream
I
and
love-
Sean will be live.
I love how you've just brought me into that. Like, I've never even mentioned that at all. Just trying to take the heat off you there.
Pretty much, yeah.
Straight in there looking for some sympathy and then throwing Sean under the bus. Well, it'll be Sean's fault that we're going to have to change that one. Well, looks like we might be making a change on the week of the 17th, so stay posted for Daniel's updates on Instagram to keep up to date with that. That's the only way that I keep up to date anyway. So, thank you for joining us. All five of us are here. Unfortunately, when you use Skype, you have to have 5 cameras working for us all to be on the screen at the same time. The Diva has got his camera not working, and I'm up in the top right hand corner. So, for those that are watching live, we are all here. For those that listen to podcasts, this makes absolutely no difference to you. So, thanks for listening. This week we are here to talk about Jojo Rabbit, which I've literally just finished minutes ago, and Don't Look Up. I'm interested to see how this one goes, because after last week's stream podcast and Instagram interactions, there was a lot of controversy going around the scores, wasn't there, guys?
Oh, man. Some folk take this far too seriously.
Well,
I
it
was
isn't.
hoping everyone was getting the full heat, to be honest, because I was worried after my Logan score, and I think I got away with it apart from very little abuse, but Sean just got it in the neck.
Oh no, Logan's probably had as much hate as The Godfather.
I think the score in general, it wasn't just my score, everybody else didn't score it highly either, though. So
Yeah, people wanted us to give it a 5 out of 5 and all that. Like, people are really sensitive. It's funny though. Like, it's such a laugh reading the comments.
Yeah, if you do get the time, please jump onto our Instagram account and have a look around the comments. There's like nearly hundreds of comments, especially under the Godfather one. Sean did score it a 2, as you are well aware, and yeah, there's been a lot of pushback on that. So it makes some good reading. It's good for us. Lots of interaction. So thank you for those that have interacted with us on Instagram, and for yous that have followed onto the podcast or followed on to listen to us live here tonight as well. Spider-Man No Way Home breaking into the top 2 was been a contentious one amongst our friends anyway. It's been a hot topic in our group chats all week. So I think this controversy is helping us. So I wonder what we are going to get from this week. If you do want to see the leaderboard as well, we will put a post up on Instagram. We do have a direct IMDb list now that you can look down, have a gander at the whole leaderboard. We are approaching the 100-ish number very, very soon. So lots of movies to look down there. We'd love to know your thoughts on them. It is quite funny when you look at the list, right, and it's like Goodfellas, Spider-Man, Parasite, and then you scroll right to the bottom. Last Airbender, Detective Pikachu, Mega Shark versus Colossus. And you think, fucking hell, we have watched some
seems to
shit.
be a common thing with a lot of those great films, okay, that you picked them.
I know I picked 2 to 3 of them. Who picked Detective Pikachu? Was that Instagram?
Instagram.
That was
video
game week.
Yeah, video game week.
Jesus Christ, that wasn't a good week for options anyway. But alas, we've got some better ones to talk about this week. So let's start off with Jojo Rabbit, as I've literally just finished this. So Jojo Rabbit, movie out in 2019 by the director that I can never pronounce his name, so Daniel's going to throw his name out right now.
Taika Waititi.
That's it. So one of those self-indulgent directors that has to be in all his movies. So this is a young German boy in the Hitler Youth whose hero and imaginary friend is the country's dictator is shocked to discover that his mother is hiding a Jewish girl in their home. Like I said, just finished watching this a couple of minutes ago, so this is fresh in my mind, but I think we're going to come to Daniel first.
Yeah, so I actually also watched this today, but I had the day off, so I didn't finish it literally 5 minutes before we started.
That's unprofessional, isn't it?
So this is one of those films that... so once we started this, I've now had to sort of actively avoid new films sometimes. I think, we'll do that for Movie Club. And I like it to be the first time I watch it for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been avoiding this for a long time. I like Taika Waititi. I think he's funny. We've done What We Do in the Shadows already with him. He's good. Him as Hitler is fucking hilarious. I was pissing myself every time he was on it. And see, when I look at films like this about this subject matter, it's come up quite a lot in our 100 movies so far, is talking about Nazis. But I always think I want a movie like this to really piss off actual Nazis. And how much would you be pissed off seeing a guy with brown skin whited up to be Hitler taking the piss and bouncing about like that? It's fucking class. But it's a weird film though, eh? It is a weird film. I don't really know what to expect. We're going to talk about this with the next film as well. It's not really a comedy. It's not really serious. It's kind of in between. So a lot of people on Instagram kept commenting to say this is like a masterpiece and it's genius and it's loads and loads of 5 out of 5s on the scores that were coming in. I didn't quite see it in that high regard. I thought it was quite fun. It was all right. I don't know. I feel like you guys expected me to enjoy this a lot more than I did.
I definitely did. I thought you did. I
can see that expectation. It seems like it's up my street, but it kind of left me a wee bit feeling a bit empty. Like, I don't know. Was he Sam Rockwell's character? Was he definitely was he part of the resistance? Was he just a Nazi that was a bit unsure about it? Like,
I think for me, he seemed like a character who was conflicted. So he's obviously serving his country as he's expected to do, but he doesn't believe in the cause. So he cuts corners and he kind of had a laugh as well right at the start. Like he was just doing his own thing. So I think he's got a lot of empathy. He's not quite fully radicalized is probably the phrase to use there, like other people are. So he kind of he lets his emotions come into it and he lets that judge. He doesn't really want to kill other people. So
I mean, I kind of got
carry on.
The impression for him as well was that he was obviously quite an eccentric person. Obviously, you've seen his flamboyant final battle attire that he designed. Obviously, he's maybe got some beliefs and that he doesn't quite align with Nazi Germany's correct way of living. So maybe that's what I was thinking. Maybe that's kind of why he maybe feels oppressed by the regime as well.
Aye, and I think that is the overall point in this movie, I think, is that people who were living within Nazi Germany didn't really understand. You were sort of brainwashed, and at that point, what would it really been like for children? It's quite a hard subject matter to do in this way, and I get what they're trying to do, and I get that it is clever, and maybe just I'm going to give it a higher score than it sounds like I'm going to give it, but it wasn't like this 5 out of 5 amazing movie to me, but it was quite clever. The wee boy's really good. I'm assuming Burnsy's going to fucking hate him.
He's under the age of 40 and he's on the screen a lot of the time, so he's out for Burnsy.
I gave a facial expression, but I made sure I didn't say anything so that people in the podcast don't notice it.
I mean, it's really clever though, I think, the film. I do think it's really clever because it does show the ridiculousness of what would have been going on back then, because you remember these stories for like history, and you've seen it throughout different documentaries and stuff where the Jews were painted in this like ridiculous light, but they all bought into it from that Nazi regime, and this just highlights that. I was pushing myself, and he's like the girls telling him about how they grew up in caves and how they had different forms and slept upside down, because he believes it all. Like that's fact. That's what happened. He's a young, impressionable guy who's like buzzing that he's got an imaginary friend in Hitler, and he looks up to all these other people as well that are hooked in on it. So he laps all this up, but she makes it sound so ridiculous, which now in 2022, Jesus Christ, I'm going to say 2021, when you think about it, you think, why would anybody support or believe that? But they did.
I mean, these are all sort of jokes that I feel like Borat made better, but it's the same spiel, it's the same joke. Do you mean? But it's the self, because obviously Sacha Baron Cohen's also Jewish, so it's the self humour sort of taking the piss at himself aspect of it. But I don't know. Did you laugh out loud very often at this? Anybody?
I did.
I think the odd chuckles throughout it. Yeah, definitely.
A couple of I don't know.
But as you said, like, most of it for me was when it was Jojo and Hitler on the screen together.
Yeah.
And then obviously the kind of the last 40 minutes, half an hour or so was a bit more like a kind of serious tone. Like when he found his mum hanging and stuff like that, that was really hard. I kind of found that quite hard to watch.
Oh, do you cry?
I was close. It was quite close.
I was crying because it was Scarlett Johansson.
I think the tone made it really difficult. The tone of the film made it difficult for me because that's the type of thing I would normally get quite upset about. I'm quite easy to cry at films, as we've discussed before. And then when you saw the shoes, like I got that instant wee moment, and then I was like, oh, like I don't know, it didn't have that same effect on me as it's had on Sean. Anyway, what else did you?
Just your bit like the more we watch films now, there's more of these little subtle tips that stand out to me. So obviously they showed her shoes quite a lot through it, and I remember it was maybe the second or third time that it was like a close up of her shoes. I'm like, why are they doing this? Like, it's no Tarantino that's filming this, so why are we concentrating on somebody's feet here? And then it clicks because he obviously goes and sees her shoes and he fixes it, and it's one of those nods where it's like just letting you know what's coming. But I mean, I'm sure Sean's happy that she kept her shoes on.
I was thinking of taking them off at some point. I could just imagine him coming on here and just berate the full film for that reason.
It's not something that was playing in my mind throughout this film, if I'm completely honest with you.
No, she was hanging there.
It's the reference to the shoes and stuff, that she was dancing on the wall. Then obviously she said to, like, it's basically like you dance if you're free, and then obviously he's dancing at the end with his newfound sister. But I never really noticed the feet stuff too much. It wasn't on my mind here, I must say. I don't know as if it is 24/7, Kyle.
I mean, I just assume it is. I think it's just all a big front, Sean. You're actually a secret Tarantino feet fetish fan. Sean, keep going. Keep telling us about what you're thinking of this movie.
And that was it. It was basically, as I said, I enjoyed when it was him and Hitler on the screen. And as Daniel kind of pointed out, like, if you were a big believer in the Nazi cause and shit like that, it would be the ultimate piss take to watch this type of thing. As Daniel said, well, I didn't actually realise that was the director who was playing Hitler, and now I can remember him because he was in that film we watched with the vampires as well, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. And I can now pitch him for that, but it is just, it's quite a hard thing to do because he is obviously the most evil bastard that's ever lived. So to kind of have him in a film and to play this kind of comedic character, but if I hadn't seen this, I'd have thought that's quite a bizarre kind of concept to me. But I thought it was done really well because it just seemed to work. But then, as I said, the last kind of 40 minutes or so, like, I actually enjoyed that more than the rest of the film. I kind of felt when it got a bit more serious. And it's just like I thought it kind of portrayed really well, like how impressionable children are. These kids were just kind of going about screaming all the kind of Hail Hitler stuff or Heil Hitler stuff, not actually understanding what was going on. And I can imagine that's how it would have been in a lot of places in Germany and stuff during the war. And that'll happen nowadays as well. Children are really easily influenced. But I didn't go in with any expectations of this, but I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was quite good.
And I mean, I think like thinking of that character that Jojo plays as well. Like, you see him slowly understanding more the more that it exposes him as well, because he's a proper, and his mum says it in the movie that he's a fanatic. Like, he's exactly what they want, and it literally takes her hiding a Jew for him to come out of that, like for him to start learning, get feelings and emotion and empathy, and it's actually quite a good character development. It's something that I typically can never be arsed paying attention to, but I thought he gets better as it goes on. No, I liked it. Hunter, what was your thoughts, friend?
Yeah, so kind of similar to Daniel, I did enjoy a very kind of good aspects of this film. I mean, some of the few, as I said, everyone's done it, touched on it, the relationship between sort of Jojo and Hitler, and how well that is, and how sort of over the top and camp and eccentric and just an absolute piss take of maybe everything that Hitler stood against. and fought against and tried to kill against was just sort of coming out of that character, and I thought that was superb. Obviously, kind of touched on, and even that, I even like his relationship with wee pal, wee Yorkie. I thought they were class on screen together whenever they're running. Kind of another one of those comedic moments, like towards the end, he's just like, I can't die. He just got him out like a wheelbarrow with machine guns and that. Whole city's falling apart when they're about him. I quite enjoyed that. But I just kind of thought that relationship that I had, that Jojo has got with his imaginary Hitler. I mean, obviously, he's probably what the propaganda and the brainwashing and Nazi regime has done to him as a guy, as a small child who's lost his dad. He's replaced him with what he thinks is this superhero in Adolf Hitler, which is probably what he's been portrayed in schools and posters on television and films, whatever. He's tried to make that sort of replacement to try and cope with his dad. And obviously, the Scarlett Johansson is classed it as well. She does quite a closed life in it, apart from when we see her with. You wonder what else is going on. Is she doing anything else? Obviously, we see her dying as everything. Is that a result of the harbouring the Jew, or is there anything else going on out with? Obviously, she makes the comment when she's seen the other people saying, "Oh, they died doing what they could." So is there other people sort of harbouring Jews and protecting them sort of around about the town as well? So I did have a few things what I'm doing. So I did some of the comedic stuff. I think there was the bit where that Rebel Wilson as well said that she'd birthed 18 children from Germany.
I mean, that was quite a dark bit, I thought, like, when they were talking about, like, what the guys are going to do and then what the women are getting trained for, and it's like to have children for us. So, Jesus Christ, I was like... But again, what was it like back in those days when that was going on? Were they all popped to one side for their limited training on what they were doing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I suppose... Go on.
I was going to say, like, the band Joy Division was basically what in Nazi Germany was the band's named after what Hitler's army had basically, I don't know what we'd call it, a collection of purebred women that were there for the sexual exploits of Nazi soldiers that were called the Joy Division.
But also, like, when Jojo was going into the training part and they make that reference about and women that will learn to harbour children, and then I'm thinking, they're all like 10. Like, are you putting them into training for this? Like, what the fuck is that?
Well, I think it's they're learning how to, like, cook and clean and be stay-at-home women, I suppose.
For me, it suggested a darker side to it. That we'll limit that type of conversation that we have this week, please, because we typically talk that far too much.
I know. I was trying to sort of be subtle and skirt around the point there.
It's usually me that has to rein it all back in there, Daniel, so I'm proud of you.
See, that one thing I did find funny that I forgot to mention was when Stephen Merchant and the Gestapo turned up and they all had to say "Hi Hitler" like over and over again. That was funny. It was like someone playing an old British comedy like Blackadder or something like that. That was probably the funniest bit of the whole film for me.
Because it took ages.
Yeah.
They went all the way in the joke and just kept. And after they'd done it the first couple of times, once the girl came in, they had to do it again and go all the way around. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been funny.
Oh well, Hunter, we can bring Burns in now if you want to just hold horses and trivia for a little bit.
Yeah, I will do it.
So I think I voted against this on every single poll because I saw it was a war movie and thought this is going to be fucking shit and I'll hate it. But
I like how we go into all these movies with an open mind, guys. No agenda, open mind.
Yeah, I know.
But no, I'm absolutely shocked. I love this. I thought every character in it, like when I saw, the only thing I had to look at first was who was in the cast. I didn't read anything about the plot or that. So when I saw it was about Nazi Germany, when the film started, I thought it was going to be more about their training. So like the first 10-15 minutes, I was kind of like, oh my god, this is going to bore me. And then obviously they moved away for that once the explosion happened. I was surprised that Scarlett Johansson didn't have as a more major role in the film, just because obviously she was the name that I recognised, and obviously the other ones weren't. But you'll be shocked to know that I thought the person that played Jojo was awesome throughout it as well. I got you in, like, when you were watching them on screen, sometimes I find with younger characters or whether it's the actor, the way they play it, as if they're either playing somebody far too immature and they're really annoying, or they're far too the opposite way and being far too mature. Whereas I thought they had that bang on. I thought Elsa was terrific as well. As you sort of pointed out, the scenes with the imaginary friend, they were really funny as well. And I think that as you touched on, Kel, like, they did a really good way of developing the characters as well, because obviously at the start Jojo's like this big fanatic, and then it's not as if he just changes and then you're like, why has he done that? Like, there's reasons for him changing the way he thinks through his relationship with Elsa, and you can see him sort of slowly turning and slowly understanding that maybe this isn't right the way he feels. Obviously the big thing is like, maybe the biggest thing is obviously his mum and dad and whatever as well, but it's sort of you could maybe say that it was obvious in terms of they was going to turn, but for me I didn't know when it was going to happen or what was going to make him come round to a different way of thinking.
He was really, really good for a little boy who's on his first ever film.
I didn't know that, but I
Sorry,
assumed
Hunter, I've stole your trivia again.
I just looked at the name after. I looked at the name and I was like, I've never heard of him. But it could easily been somebody I'd never heard and done 50 films. So, but no, I thought the scene the Gestapo that Daniel touched on, that was really well done as well. At that point as well, I was like, they could have, like, for me, they could have easily done it differently, and the girl might have get taken away, and there might have been a twist further on or something. Whereas the way they actually got out of that situation, and obviously the fake date of birth, that was really well done. And also the ending, that, because it was looking a wee bit weird at one point when obviously he's developing this crush on her, and I was kind of thinking, where are they actually going to go with this? But then obviously the ending where you can understand. Usually with younger actors, that, like, I think I mentioned it when we were talking about Spider-Man last week, is I was getting a bit annoyed with Spider-Man, whereas with Jojo, that you could actually understand why he was doing the things he was doing in terms of, like, trying to keep the girl there, because you could see the emotion and the way he was feeling about his life in general, not having any family there and all that kind of stuff too. So, and the ending was perfect as well, I thought, in terms of, like, her finding out that obviously he lied, being raging at him, but obviously the way I took it is she was appreciative of what he'd actually done to try and save her, essentially. But no, I don't think I can really fault anything of it. It just obviously shows that when quite often, because I've never seen a lot of the films, I would usually just Google it and see, like, I don't want to read obviously too much about the film, we'll just read, like, a synopsis of it, like 3 lines or something. And I saw, like, oh, it's about Nazi Germany, this young boy, and I'm like, nah, no for me. And it's a complete opposite. So, no, I think it was class.
Budsy, I'm proud of you. I think that's a good. Finally, having a young male main character that you've given a bit of appreciation to is a big step forward. I was looking over as well, because I didn't really know much. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who the girl was. And I did notice that the girl stars in Last Night. Is it Last Night in Soho? The one that we were supposed to go and see at the cinema. So
yeah,
that would have been quite interesting to see. For me, my favourite person in the whole thing was Sam Rockwell. Sam Rockwell was brilliant throughout it, and it's funny because
you think his character's gay, and that's why he's it. Yeah,
that was the impression I got.
Didn't even cross my mind.
No, how many wee assistant? They had a couple of, like, charged moments of, like.
Oh. To go into battle wearing a cape and like castles and everything flying off it as well, and it's got, like, makeup and everything on at that point as well.
Fair play. I honestly didn't even look at that, because it's funny, because we're obviously watching the MCU in the background, guys. As we mentioned last week, a few of us are going through it in chronological, and I've just watched not long ago with him playing Justin Hammer, which is it's interesting to see, like, such a difference in character, but also they had a lot of similarities with how flamboyant they were as well, and they were quite arrogant, and they had a lot of, like, panache to their performance in this one as well. How are you guys getting on with the MCU?
I mean, I've seen them all before, so I'm not as like I don't need to as much. But I've not even started yet. But I've got this week off, so I'll do it this week.
Sean?
I'm just plodding along, Dana. I mean, I'm still no further forward than what it was. I'm on the second Thor, but I'm just watching it whenever I can. But I'd imagine now being back at work, it'll be obviously not as much time to watch.
Oh well,
Obviously, when
I
you're
roped
sitting-
in. We watched Endgame on New Year's Eve, and I've roped Sarah into watching it. So we've actually went from the start to Civil War in the last couple of days.
I might just get COVID again, so I can kind of pick up a bit.
Good plan. Hunter,
Let's go in the moon. I'll give it, Sean, if you want.
I'm going to give you a wee kiss.
Have a big COVID party.
COVID Craig sitting in his house there. Should be in a big plastic bubble. Hey, Hunter, do you want to come in with some trivia for this movie, please?
Yep. So I've just done a bit with some on YTE for playing these Hitler. So he's not done any research on Hitler, saying because, and this is, you can quote him on this, he's a fucking cunt.
Nice.
I wore a fat suit when I was playing it. I never could even picked up on that. We didn't even clicked on that. So as well, we touched on obviously sort of Jojo's sort of allegiances and beliefs changing towards Nazi Germany kind of throughout the film. But I kind of noticed that when that happens, as his beliefs change and Germany start losing the war, you see the Nazi symbols on his room are just covered up by other random symbols there, so you kind of see what he's losing his belief in the fight at that point as well.
That's interesting. I didn't spot that.
Can we just take note and say that Hitler was a fucking cunt is the name of the podcast this week?
Hitler was. Yep, got it down.
So also during the final battle scene, I mean, a lot of the trivia I found was kind of on what guns were used, like how people research characters. I wasn't really, I didn't find that quite boring, but this stuff it was quite when. So the final battle scene, you've got Rebel Wilson's just handing out all these different types of guns and different weapons. But some of it obviously maybe wasn't accurate to what was used at the time, but what the theory behind it was correct was because what had happened is during the end of the war, obviously when Germany's under attack, it's losing all its factories and whatever else that were used for either mining or sort of developing weaponry at that point. So it was just whether it could pull in from here, there and everywhere. So it was just a random assortment of shite that were going into these final battles right at the end. So but I did think that was quite actually interesting. Also as well, the dialogue in the film is all spoken in English, but all the written text is in German.
Mm-hmm.
And also the last one I found was on Jojo's sister's bedroom wallpaper. There's actually rabbit patterns on it.
Ah.
So a little nod to Jojo Rabbit there.
I see. That's clever. Clever.
Interesting was if we've watched this film with our eyes shut when you're telling us that.
It's all these sort of...
Kyle basically did.
Listen, I can multitask here. As it's been well established, I'm a man of many skills. So I can wash the dishes, clean up, watch a film, play Football Manager, play FIFA. Don't even lose at FIFA as well. It's fucking. I'm just what a specimen of a man I am.
And wank at the same time.
Someone's just so Daniel Zaldahora has just put in the chat that the guy left and the guy top right are clones. That'd be Daniel and Hunter. These are clones. They do commonly go by the name of Dunter. So yeah, you are absolutely onto something there. Just a bit of trivia that I spotted there, Hunter, that will reference what we said earlier. In their last appearance together on screen, Sam Rockwell and Alfie Allen's characters are both seen wearing pink triangles on their uniforms. This references the relationship suggested between the two of them throughout the film, as Nazis would mark the clothes of gay men with pink triangles.
Nailed it. We knew it. Me and Hunter were on it.
With the Dunter Alliance was back and forth.
Right, take your pink triangles off, guys. Happy days. Daniel, what did Instagram have to say about this movie?
Too much for me to deal with anymore, to be honest. So we put out for scores. Normally we come on and we give like an average of the scores, but there was like 60 odd scores. So that's too many to count. Generally, this was between a 4 and a 5. It was very highly thought of, very few low scores. We had loads of comments. What I'm going to start doing is from next week, I'll start reading out the comments and the folks' names for the funniest or the angriest comments. But yeah, generally people really like this, and a lot of people sort of hold it in that sort of masterpiece high regard. I'm pretty sure, I don't know, it's not been in the trivia, but did this not win an Oscar?
It did, yeah. So there's 6 nominations in total, and it got the one winner, which was for the best adapted screenplay. Now, it was also nominated for Best Picture and Best Actress in a supporting role for Scarlett Johansson as well.
Cool.
Oh, my Scarlett. Daniel, let's
off again, Kyle.
Oh, don't. Sarah will be listening to this as well, and I'll get in trouble probably precisely 2 minutes after she's heard this. We just seem to be watching far too many things with Scarlett Johansson, and especially watching the MCU as well, which is
that's clearly by design.
just wait till we watch Black Widow. Daniel, let's come straight back to you then, and we'll get your score for Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, I wish it had leaned a bit more into the comedy, and I'm giving it a 3.25. Still good, still enjoyed it.
3.25 from Daniel. Sean, we'll shoot straight to the man in the sky.
Oh, indeed. I'll go for 3.5.
3.5. You can look deed all you want, we just can't see you. You're a voice from above.
I do look like shit.
Listen, you can't look like shit. You're the face of this operation.
The face and the arse there.
No comment, Mr. 285 for Godfather. Hunter.
3.5 for me as well.
God, just copying Sean. Copying his homework. Burns, are you copying their homework, or are you going slightly different?
I am definitely going different. I'm going to give it a 4.75.
Wow. Well done.
Wow.
Jesus Christ, a 4.75. Was that higher or lower than you gave The Godfather?
Same. That's what I based my score on.
I cannot wait to put that into our group chat later.
Oh.
That's going straight in the draft chat. In fact, I'm going to do it whilst one of you is talking as well, so that I can get the fucking pot stirred.
Oh, we're getting our dubs to the left. The draft chat after this.
Well, I'm going to come in. I'm not going to give it quite as high as you guys, but I'm going to give it a 3.75. I say not quite as high as you guys, not quite as high as Burnsy. Really, really liked it. Which again was in that camp of I'd never even heard of it, so I was like, I'm not going to like that this much. But yeah, it was a rushed finish for me, but I enjoyed it, and it helped me get 5 straight wins and foot champs before I go and do the rest tonight. Burnsy, what does that give us overall?
That gives us your score overall of 3.75.
A 3.75. So, where do we think that sits on the leaderboard? And I'm going to stall you for time because I've not got it loaded up. So,
I think it's maybe about 25.
13th. Don't know.
Oh, it's going to be outside the top 20.
And unfortunately, it's been scored lower than our favourite that we're trying to get
I'm
out.
going to give it the place of the year, 22.
22. Well, I'm going to say that both Burnsy and Hunter are correct because this becomes joint 22nd alongside Django, Pulp Fiction, Pan's Labyrinth and Short Term 12. So it does make it into the top 25.
That's probably
5 films sitting in there bang on 22.
Aye, that's good company for that. That's fair.
Which is interesting though, just to bring this up, and this is obviously from the group chat earlier, that Pulp Fiction was being bandied around as one of the best movies ever and should be up there in the 5 category, and we've got it down there in the outside the top 20.
Then they'll
I
let
think
it below.
I keep Pulp Fiction a bit at 4.5 and 4.75 as well, so maybe I'm just thinking movies, unlike yous.
Well, go back and if you go back and listen in the archives, that episode's available on the Spotify. So
Fucking plugged
Also on
right
YouTube,
in
'cause
there.
that's where I found it as well.
Plugged right in there as well. Happy days. I like that, Daniel. Well done. Well done. So, I'm very, very, very interested to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Don't Look Up. Another film that I did watch today that I knew absolutely nothing about. Well, guys, come on. We just
shouldn't be saying this when we're on stream. Like, be professional and all that. You're firing in 2 films on the day.
Well, some could say that I'm very professional because I wanted to be fresh in my mind before the stream.
Oh, and there was also that text message yesterday when somebody had said, "Oh, so are we going on tomorrow night?" And then you went, "Oh fuck, I forgot we've got 2 films to watch."
At 5 o'clock.
That's blasphemy. I'm going to mute you right now, Sean.
One should have been at least you made it last week, unlike him.
Well, this is it. I was going to say I've never missed a week, but if I miss a week, we all miss a week. So
You're the magical Wizard of Oz, man.
that's it. It was funny. I was talking to Caden earlier about the stream, the Instagram, and all that kind of stuff. And he said to me, and this is a direct quote: "Are you the brains behind the operation?" I was like, "Yes, I am."
Oh, what if
hence the title, Kyle.
Listen, if people think that I'm the brains behind this, I will absolutely take that. Don't Look Up, out in 2021. It is all over the likes of Netflix just now. What made me piss myself when I looked at this originally, it says based on truly possible events. Which I think sets the tone for this movie really well when you read that first bit. But it says here, 2 low-level astronomers must go on a giant media tour to warn mankind of an approaching comet that will destroy planet Earth. And just before we go into this, when we posted about this post, and this has had the most likes we've ever had on any post, and we have saw an incredible amount of passionate people, both ends of the spectrum for this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is very what's the word I'm looking for? Divisive. This film.
Yeah, I think obviously
people will have it. Go on.
You can put the subject matter in this movie, swap it with, I don't know, maybe a global pandemic, and you'll get a lot of people in the comments who believe one way or the other. And I bet you there's a clear divide. You could say people who hate this movie are anti-vaxxers. I've said it. I've threw it out there. If you don't like this movie, you're an anti-vaxxer.
So this is the worry now, right? This is my big worry as I come into giving my assessment. Because there's already been there's political arguments in the comments underneath this on Instagram. And it's had like 3,500 likes. I don't know why. Like, this movie's just fucking caused people to get annoyed. But my worry is, this is my issue, is that if we don't get particularly high scores to this, right? Because we're going to score it based on how good a movie it is, not the message it's given.
Yeah.
Folk are going to think we're fucking anti-vaxxers.
Well, listen, Daniel, keep talking and we'll take the room for you.
Well, maybe I need to see, instead of using a picture, I remember we used to put our 4 or 5 mugshots along the bottom of the movie poster. Why don't we just post our 5 vaccination certificate statuses? Everyone knows it was
I mean, this is the thing, right? This was alright. It was okay, this film. Man, again, more of an issue with this one than the last one, right? Was it funny? No, not really. Like, it's clearly taking the piss out of like conspiracy theorists and Republicans and our world Tories, anti-vaxxers, and the general idea now that people just make up their own truth to try and gain something from it. And obviously the Jeff Bezos guy, he was such a caricature. Like, he was such a weird character that he seemed like he should be in like Austin Powers or something. He didn't fit in the rest of the movie. Yeah, like he whoever played him, I don't know which actor it was, but
it was Mark Rylance, former movie club favourite.
Yes.
Oh yes, it was.
What was he in before? You need to remind me, because I can't remember.
Well, that Bridge of Spies thing, whatever it was called.
Oh, was it right?
And he's also in Trial of Chicago 7.
Yeah, Sean likes it. He leans so far into like the comedy over the top aspect of this that it didn't go with anything else that was going on. I thought Meryl Streep was really good. I didn't quite like I didn't quite understand the story they were telling with Leonardo DiCaprio cheating on his wife and then her just taking him back. And was that him being poisoned by the conspiracy theorists and like getting sucked into it all and like believing it all? And I don't know.
To me, I was just going to say, to me, it was as if it was just a problem with the script. I didn't understand what they're even trying to do with the script. That just completely me through.
I kind of said what you, Daniel. It was kind of like he got brought in and was basically turned into an overrated celebrity and was kind of feeding off that. And you obviously got somebody who's like a celebrity herself, that they throw herself at him, and he's like now like America's sexiest scientist or whatever else. So exactly. Just finding all that hype.
This is someone with a lot of agendas. It's someone who's like annoyed with so many different aspects of society, and they're trying to squeeze it all into one film. They hate capitalism, they hate billionaires, they hate, obviously, the anti-vax movement. Meryl Streep's obviously playing a female Donald Trump type character. So it's trying to take aim at far too many people all at once, and it doesn't do it in a very funny way. Like, there's very bit, like, we were talking about Jojo Rabbit, like, how many times did you laugh? Like, nothing in this made me laugh out loud. I couldn't quite tell when it was supposed to be taken seriously and when it was supposed to be funny. So I'm worried that now folk are going to think I'm an anti-vaxxer when I give this a low score.
I know, but you do think the Earth is flat, though, don't you?
Yeah, I once started a page on a work group thing about the Earth being flat, and started like a wee campaign about it. Like, and I was defending it and giving all these arguments, and I got in trouble off the work administrator. Told taking the piss out of people is not a good use of work time.
Oh, mind that.
Mind that.
Yammer.
I was on Yammer.
What?
Oh, mind that.
Listen, Sean, you started talking, we'll fire straight back to you.
I actually really enjoyed this. It was more for me like a horror documentary that'll be aired in the year 2060 or something like that. As you've already kind of touched on, it's taking the piss out of the idea that, well, it is basically, as kind of Daniel said, is the kind of female Donald Trump that she was playing, but it's just so much greed in this. Like, there is literally something that's going to threaten humanity as we know it, and they're trying to make a quick kind of pound out of it. And it's exactly how I think that these kind of world leaders, that it's just all about money and stuff like that. And I know I'm sounding like a total conspiracy theorist here myself, but I don't really care. But no, like, I wasn't too bothered with the kind of comedy aspect of it. Like, I didn't find it particularly funny, but it didn't bother me that I didn't find it particularly funny. As you know, I watch anything with DiCaprio in it. I thought Jennifer Lawrence was absolutely brilliant in this, but I thought she stole the show. I thought she was really, really good. But no, I did really like it, and I think it does it for me. It done its job of highlighting the kind of problems that we have in the world right now with greed and all that kind of stuff. So for me, I wasn't bothered about the kind of comedy aspect of it. I never kind of left any kind of taste in my mouth. I just kind of thought it was quite a good film.
I think
the reason that, sorry, just to jump back on but the reason that everything you said didn't quite hit home with me is, like, to me, that sort of stuff that's obvious that we all know. Like, I feel like this film's acting like it's revealing something. I mean, it's good. It's like taking a stand. Like, we all fucking know this shit. We all know that there's too many fucking billionaires and everyone's fucking greedy and the world's shite. And we all know that in the face of a disaster, nobody would fucking react. And I think that this is trying to be like an eye-opening movie that's going to, like, make people change how they look at things. But it's just, as you can see in the comments on Instagram, it's just going to make folk argue even more about what's right or wrong about this film. Like,
well, see, I would counter that by saying that, like, I've not seen, and obviously take our Instagram aside for 1 second. For me, this film's been everywhere. Been all over Twitter. It's been, I've seen it on the news 3 or 4 times. I've seen it in so many places, and also look at how our Instagram's totally blown up with it as well. So it's obviously something to get people talking in that regard, whether it's right or wrong. And it does. It allows you to separate the idiots for the sound cunt.
But that's the thing. What it's doing is, right, it's taking people that like this film. People are saying that if you don't like this film, you're one of those cunts. So the film's becoming more divisive than anything, because that's what people are arguing about. If you don't like this, then you're a fucking idiot.
Well, we've had a little comment come in there from Chris from What We Watching Tonight. He says Adam McKay trying to do too much, try to do a little too much. It's not quite his type of comedy and not quite his type of drama. Jack of all trades, and for me it kind of lags in the middle. Leo pulls it from a 2 to a 3, and he's put hashtag not an anti-vaxxer.
I'm much of that in that same place as him.
I think in terms of the comedy for this, for me, it was one of those ones where you don't laugh at it, but you take notice of it because it's relevant. Mm-hmm. So it's because, like, Ariana Grande's character switches from being total nice to a total bitch within settings, because that's probably what celebrities are like. Like, we've not had the interaction levels where we sit with a famous singer and get to know what they're like, but it's watching little bits like that where you nod and go, right, oh yeah, I'd imagine that's what Beyonce's like. Sorry if you're listening, because she's clearly
Mrs. Ed, we're sorry.
She clearly is, eh? So, but then, like, obviously, like, I thought the whole president character was quite funny. I mean, I did like that. I think it was played really well, and it is a tongue-in-cheek towards Trump, and the fact that they made it a woman and stuff as well. It's when the one line that proper cracked me up though was when Jennifer Lawrence says to her, "Oh, is this now just because we've seen your cooch online?"
Yeah,
the funniest bit in this film for me was when Meryl Streep's president was listed off like people to thank before the launch, and then she got to God, and then she said herself after God, which I thought was like, so that was a really funny, subtle bit of comedy for me. There wasn't very many of those moments in this, but did you all see what Meryl Streep did in the post-credit scene?
I stayed and watched it.
I watched it today.
yeah.
Which is funny because obviously they tell her that that's what's going to happen to her and stuff as well. I mean,
I meant more about being in the Scud, like kind of Meryl Streep in the Scud. That was.
I've got screenshots. It's fine.
Nice.
I'll share them later, guys. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence was brilliant, right? And I do like her. What I liked about little bits with her character is they made her the villain for finding it, just because it had her name to it. Like, because it had her name attached, it was her fault. Like, how fucked up is that thought process?
Well, it's the same as. Sorry, go on.
One of the, I think they were on that show with the news readers or whatever, they were talking about, like, we need to wipe out our common enemy, the DiBiase, like, as talking about him as a person rather than the comet itself. Like, the world would be fine if she never discovered this, we'd all be going about our normal life, but she's the enemy because now the world's going to end, or she's brought it to our attention that the world's going to end.
See, this is why, like, this film's too blatant for me, because what they're trying to do with that is do what they did with China. They called it the Chinese virus.
Yeah.
And then it became China that was the enemy rather than a virus. And to me, like, it's not subtle enough, this film. Like, they're trying to make out that you need to be clever to get it, but it just shoves it right in your face. And it's too blatant for me. I think this could have been a lot, I don't know, like, a lot more subdued in the way that it put the message across. Anyway, I'm gonna keep jumping in and moaning about this film.
No, that's fine, Hunter. If you got any more to add, keep going.
I could do so. I mean, similar to what Chris has said, this film is dragged up by the acting performances. I think there's some. Jonah Hill's one that's not been mentioned yet, and I thought he was class on it. Obviously, when it gets to the second end post-credit scene, which I didn't watch at the time, which I went back and watched on YouTube before we went live tonight, was. I did a lot more onto his character as well. He's like the last guy on Earth. He's like, "What share and subscribe messages because of a TikTok coming out this door?" It's like that's kind of like you've got a guy who's in power just because he's most the president and he's like the Secretary of State. And
it is funny that he calls her mum throughout it as well, eh?
Yeah. I just think he's sitting there like he's doing presidential meetings and that. I was like, oh, so they're watching this mission take off. He's like, oh, that Mully's kicked in just in time.
Oh dear.
I mean, I kind of similar to kind of what I said. I was getting a lot of, like one of the daft like Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve type of films where you've got all these sort of different stories that might intertwine and like kind of like Love Actually, you've got all these different characters and they've all got a story, but there's also intertwined throughout it as well. I kind of got a bit of that vibe from this as well. Just kind of, there's a lot going on. They're trying to. It's maybe trying to be a bit too satire at times. I mean, I watched something similar. Obviously, it's maybe been the one of the weakest satire to cover these two films. But I watched like the Charlie Brooker sort of light thing, and that made me laugh out loud at times. And it's kind of doing similar takes on. It's like obviously it's comedic things on serious events that are happening throughout the world, and this is meant to be that. And it doesn't hit quite home with the comedy value at times, but the performance and the delivery of certain characters within the film are what makes it watchable, and that's all I've got to say on it for me.
Well, I just want to swing straight back to Sean. We're talking about characters there. Sean, I think we should give you your couple minutes customary wank over DiCaprio. Wait, crack on.
I've already mentioned him. I thought it was.
I know,
really
but I
good.
thought I'd give you more time to talk
his
about
best
him.
performance, but I thought it was very, very good. But as I said, I could sit and watch him do the toilet. I'd watch anything. But, no, I thought it was really, really good. But I do think that Jennifer Lawrence was the star of the show. I thought she was brilliant.
Oh, well, I know how much you like DiCaprio, so I thought I'd just swing it back and give you another thing. I seen just on DiCaprio, just to sidetrack out of this, I seen a thing on Instagram, like a real video. I didn't realise that him and Tobey Maguire were like best pals growing up.
Aye, they were in a film together when they were young.
So when I seen the video, Tobey Maguire looks about 40 then. Never mind now, so yeah, he looks the same age back then as he did now. It was dead weird.
I was going to say, he's got older looking, but he's always looked 40.
Such a weird one to say, because DiCaprio looks young, like proper young. Tobey Maguire just looks like he's driven in.
It was quite interesting to see. This is the first time I can think of seeing DiCaprio leaning into his actual age in a part. So like he's got two fully grown adult sons. So he's clearly playing a man that's like in his mid-50s, like he actually is.
You're saying that about his adult sons. His girlfriend in real life is actually 2 years younger than his eldest son in the film.
That doesn't surprise me. So he's got a very, very low age limit for Tinder.
Oh wow! I'm going to swing right away from there and come back to Burnsy. Burnsy, start taking us away from Leonardo DiCaprio's Tinder, please. Let's talk about yours.
So I think I'm on similar lines to most of you. Is like I find the beginning, excuse me, I find the beginning of the film I was a bit lost with it. I think it's because he used quite a few big words. I think maybe I'm just a bit thick at some points. When they started talking about the mission, they kind of lost me a wee bit, and then I got back, understand what was going on.
The subtitles helping.
Well, no, but I can't understand the words that the subtitles tell me. Doesn't really help. But I thought the acting was terrific. I think this is what really helps the film. As Sean pointed out, I thought Jennifer Lawrence was amazing. And as Hunter pointed out, Jonah Hill was really good as well. I thought his like one-liners and how he was always putting down Jennifer Lawrence's character every chance he got. He was he came across as like somebody obviously you were meant to dislike, and actually felt disliking him during the film, which also shows how well he was acting. Whereas the guy that played Peter, Matt Rylance, I think his name was, you said?
Yep.
Is that I guess he was meant to give off similar vibes the way I was taking it, but to me, he just like when he was on the screen, it just bored me. Like I don't know whether it was just he was just too far or what. It just didn't work whatsoever for me. I thought the addition of like the talk show stuff I thought they were really funny scenes, and I messaged you, obviously I'm just going to bump myself up here saying that I'd spotted that Tyler Perry was also in Gone Girl, which was quite amazed that I managed to remember. But I thought he was, even though it was only a small part, I thought because I liked him in Gone Girl, I liked him again in this. There was like the first hour or whatever I did really enjoy, and then there was wee bits that I sort of zoned in and out. I found it was just there was just like wee bits that were kind of annoyed me. Like DiCaprio's character, obviously at the very start, he's coming across as this really nervous, unsure guy. He's shaking in that, and when they're getting spoken to the first time, then he just like owns it, and I'm like, where did that come from? And then obviously Jennifer Lawrence's character is. She's like explaining everything when they go to see the government, etc. Then obviously you can say she's maybe like really invested in the mission and she wants it to be resolved. Then she obviously loses it and she comes across as this nutcase, and they obviously get rid of her. I just didn't. I was kind of a bit confused because it just came out of nowhere for me. And also as I think it was maybe Daniel that mentioned about how DiCaprio he obviously cheats on his wife and then the last scene you see is him like having a massive fallout, her chucking pills at him, or his medication, then they just like get back together. It's like, what?
I think that's just because the world's ending, just have a final thingy with the family and all that.
But you could
I
be
don't
right.
really
She
too
also
much into that, like I'm getting back together, but
she throws a comment in about her having the affair previously as well. Like,
that bit I did get in terms of she's like, well, I've done it too, but I just thought it was wee bits like that. Whereas, and also DiCaprio's character, like to start off with, he's kind of acting like in charge, and then he just becomes their puppet to an extent before he gets thrown off. Like that just it didn't build it enough for me. It was kind of just, I thought, like, as I say, the actual actors and actresses, they were awesome. Like I think there was, apart from the one that I mentioned about the guy that played Peter, but I just felt that the reason why I'm not going to give it a higher score as what it could be is because there was just too many plot holes in it for me. I just didn't. The script was the issue that let it down, and although there was all the sort of points they were making about greed and all that kind of stuff that Sean's pointed out, I thought it was good at that stage, and it was letting you know about what, like, try to portray it as real life and other things that could happen. I thought it was good at that stage, but there was just points of it that did allow me to not. It was nowhere near as enjoyable for me as the first film of Jojo Rabbit. It was just, if it had done the rest of that properly with a better plot, then it would be up there for me.
There we go. It's interesting that, because a lot of like the jabs and the comedy things and stuff, like we said at the start, it's just relevant, isn't it? It's trying to play on the relevancy of it, but a lot of it you can see through.
Yeah,
like it
was more the other stuff that, apart from the actual mission, that was a bit for me. The plot actually, for the main idea behind the plot of the comic, etc., that worked fine. It was just all the backstories that didn't hit the spot, I thought. But I think what I was going to say as well, that Daniel was sort of making the point that he thought the film was a bit too obvious and try to put it down your throat. Whereas, like, I know I've came over it a few times, and you have had to explain stuff to me. Whereas, obviously, with this film, I got everything, so it's like that's a different audience. Whereas I need stuff to be like put like right in my face to actually pick it up sometimes. Whereas you can maybe pick hints up, and whereas if they were too subtle, I would have came on here and probably been like not even picking up that it was all the actual full point in the film.
Oh, poor boy, I want to come and give you a cuddle.
They get COVID.
Well, get COVID for my troubles. I'm going to pick out one scene in particular I thought was really good, which, when you think of like the character Meryl Streep's playing, if it's to emulate Trump and the ridiculous of the Republicans across in America, and we do have some American people that listen, so if you're a Republican, fuck you. Where they are, where the guys, like, they're obviously there cheering and all that kind of stuff. It's at night time, they're in the dark, and they've got big signs like "Don't look up," and the one guy looks up, and he's like, "Oh my god, what the fuck is that?" And then other people start looking up, and then they start throwing things at her and stuff. I just thought it was quite funny that, because in my head I'm like, have they actually genuinely never looked up since they were told not to? They've just not done it.
You see, like,
No, well, so just to defend it, that was the night that it appeared for the first time.
Yeah, it wasn't. You couldn't see it before that point.
But they had mentioned that if you looked beforehand, that's where the whole "don't look up" come from, because the hysteria started with them going live.
Oh yeah.
And saying that you can see it if you look up and concentrate. I know it becomes clearer.
Yeah,
but
that's true. You make a good point. I take it back. Yeah. Also, as well, the whole point is that they're telling everyone that they're going to get jobs and wealth from it, right? So what difference does looking up make? Because they know it's like, they're not denying it. They're saying that yes, there's a comet coming, but we're going to do something to break it up so we can take all the fucking precious metal out of it, and you'll all get jobs. It's like South Park. So the guy looking up and seeing it didn't mean anything because they all knew anyway. This is why this film's not very good. It's somebody trying to make a point rather than make a good film. You could get a much better version of this in a half-hour South Park episode.
That's not making the podcast. It's not a film. What was the word you said, Daniel? It's not somebody that wants to make a good film. It's somebody that wants to make a point. It's about long, right enough.
it's a bit long. It wouldn't make the point very well.
Sean,
you.
Sean, how did you feel about it being over 2 hours? We know you're the time man.
This time thing's a myth. I don't know where it's came from, but I was fine with it. I was absolutely fine with it.
I think there was about a 6 or 7 week running where Daniel held up a bit of paper that said the phrase "it's too long" that came out of your mouth every week.
I was just playing along with the gag. I don't know. I just thought it was a wee
running
joke.
You'll be absolutely fine for us to watch Once Upon a Time in America that we agreed before the stream started.
Never agreed on that.
Don't worry, Sean. You know I would do that.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a democracy. 3 of us said yes. I'll pay Dunter later. Hunter, do you have any trivia that you want to share for this movie?
I do, yes. So obviously we kind of touched on it with Yoda Hill's character. I've kind of seen this sort of paraphrased on a few sort of tweets and Instagram posts recently, but he said his character he wanted to portray was what if Fire Festival was a person, but obviously kind of Fire Festival documentary, just kind of one of those ones that kind of went a bit sort of viral. I can't remember if it was before lockdown or sort of in amongst the Tiger King hype or whatever, but if you look at that is essentially like between them and the sort of the people on that, just sort of reminded me of that sort of TikTok Ariana Grande's character in this film sort of generation where they're just pricks. And he nails it really well.
Yeah, he does well with it. He does do very well with it.
So obviously the asteroid that Jennifer Lawrence's character DiBiase sort of references in this, the Dino Killer one was 10 kilometres wide, and at the point in time it wiped out 75% of all life on Earth. So maybe at the end scene, maybe Jonah Hill maybe wasn't the last man on Earth, but it was quite a funny scene when that came anyway. So also,
that never happened, Hunter. That's all just made up by the government to control your mind. That's all.
I'm not wanting the religious fanatics and the anti-vaxxers jumping on this now.
Daniel, can you please quote him on Instagram and put out there direct to him?
And obviously we touched on sort of Leonardo DiCaprio and kind of obviously for some of the science stuff that obviously they had like an astronomer on being a consultant, and what they're saying is that actually he sat and spent proper times with DiCaprio, giving him like sort of teaching him about sort of the orbital dynamics calculations. He's actually said he's had a fairly good education on that subject for 6 months in the lead up and during the production of the film as well, which I think was quite similar. I think there was one thing that sort of came out a few weeks ago where before they'd done Wolf of Wall Street, he spent a month just him and Jordan Belfort just sort of getting to know his sort of mannerisms and his characteristics. I thought kind of shows that he's not quite gone full on like a Christian Bale immersing himself properly, but he's doing the proper background research, which is always good to know. So I think there's 1 hour and 41 minutes into the film. There's a QR code which, if you scanned it, takes you to the YouTube video of the full "Don't Look Up" song, which is Kid Cudi and Ariana Grande. So if anyone wants to go back, you can just type it in on YouTube. Don't Look Up song.
Fuck's sake.
There's a bit as the Bash phone number. I think I can't remember what it was regarding in the film, but it starts 1-800. So if you actually phone that, it's actually a sex line in America that tells you that hot girls are waiting to talk to you.
Hey, Burns, get your Tinder shut down.
I've already got this now.
And I think DiCaprio Randall's final line in the film, he says, "We did have everything, didn't we?" That was actually improvised by Leonardo DiCaprio. And Chris Evans, who was originally meant to play the part that Mark Rylance plays, but he didn't obviously appear as that again. He came back in the role in the film, as Devin Peters, who was the star of the film that was getting released on the day that the asteroid hit there. But it was actually that was also his first appearance since Endgame, 2.5 years.
Interesting. Check you with that. Well, I know we're not giving scores for it, but what did Instagram have to say about this one?
This was just wildly different. It got 5s, it got 0s, it got 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. It was all over the place. I think it's just a hot topic movie that I think people feel like they have to pick a side, so they need to go all the way low or all the way high rather than just sort of judge it. But yeah,
well, let's see if we have five guys that are going to sit on the fence. Daniel, we're coming to you first.
I'm not going to sit in the fence, so I'm going to give this a 1.75.
1.75. Sean?
A 3.75.
A 3.75. So this is 1.5 better than Godfather.
1.75 better than
1.75.
Yeah.
Basically, I think it's almost twice as good as Godfather, is what he said.
Yeah.
Hunter?
3 for me, just slightly better than average again. It's the quality of the acting that drags this up.
3. Burnsy?
I'm going to give it a 3.5.
3.5. And I'm going to take a mark off that, give it a 2.5. Some good parts, some boring parts, some parts I can't even remember. What does that do to the overall scoring for that one then?
That's a 2.9 overall.
A 2.9, and in terms of the leaderboard, where do you think that brings us?
No idea. There's too many.
Listen, guys, I need you to pad a little bit so I get down to the right section so I can look at it, right?
44.
Just fucking gimme something.
Scraping in the top 50.
Scrape him in. Well, unfortunately, it's just outside. It comes joint 55th with Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Fucking hell.
Criminally higher than Bridesmaids at 2.85. What the fuck's happened there? And shockingly, it's just below The Wanderers, which is one of the greatest movies ever made.
I know, it's
This is all your faults because I scored it appropriately and you all scored it too high.
Well,
I'm not wanting the.
do you know why that is, Daniel?
And the anti-vaxxers coming from
You're
the
an
comments,
anti-vaxxer.
that's why.
Well, this is, I'm now getting myself prepared for the fucking anti-vax. Someone, remember, because we've got a lot more traffic now, folk are going back and giving us grief for previous reviews as well now. And someone tagged me personally and said that basically I was a pussy for not liking Malevolent, and it must be because I don't like gore. Like,
I seen the comment from someone that said that he scoured every single one of our posts looking for a certain film that.
Oh, was
And
it?
Sorry, Hunter.
Aye, we've never reviewed it.
Up for vote the other week, aye.
Aye, he was raging it, was he there? But he also told us that we were all thick as fuck in another post. So he's no far wrong, to be fair. So
That's
we'll repeat it every week. The clue's in the name, guys. We are a bunch of morons.
It's just a more PC way of saying we're thick as fuck and we like films.
Aye, we're just fucking idiots. So we have finished off with Don't Look Up at 2.9 and Jojo Rabbit of 3.75 to tail off this week. We do, however, have 2 movies to come in for next week. So adding those 2 films into the list brings us up to 99 movies, and like absolutely true morons, we couldn't quite do the maths. So we will not have a stream that reaches 100 movies. It will be 101. I would love to say that was by design, but it really, really wasn't.
No.
So we have got an exciting 2 movies to watch that will really get the blood pumping. It'll get us energetic in going through these 2 films. Can anyone tell me the name of these 2 movies?
I've got a nice romance one apparently of Schindler's List.
Oh, it's the love of comedy there.
So for full clarity, guys, we did not say that Schindler's List was a romantic comedy. That was put in the comments on Instagram. Please feel free to go in and comment underneath that to the person that did. But one movie is Schindler's List, and the other one?
The Marriage Story, another heart-filming joy fest that we have to look forward to.
Yeah, so Daniel alluded earlier that he does have a little cry at movies. I'm one also that will have a little cry when it comes to certain movies, so I wonder how we'll do with these 2. The 3 other heartless bastards won't know, however.
It's going to be, I was going to say, it's going to be weird going from the jovial Hitler we just watched to Schindler's List's take on the same time period.
Oh, Chris has just put back in the chat, your week's going to be a good laugh. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of comments we're going to have about the Holocaust and the Marriage Story. The only shining light in it is yet another Scarlett Johansson movie.
Fucking hell, man. She must be on this more than Tarantino now.
She's on it.
They named up more than any other character in any of the films this week.
It's going to have me sleeping in the doghouse with the puppy. So next week we will have Marriage Story to Schindler's List and a few other things up our sleeves that we're going to want to talk about when we come onto the stream. We are, however, not going to be spinning the wheel this week. Anyone want to reveal why?
Top 101. Top 101.
Top 101. So as we've reached the top 101 movies of our leaderboard, we have created an IMDb list that you can go and find as well. We'll pop that on the social medias. Social media, since Twitter's still bouncing, Sean. Where we will discuss the movies that we can remember. If you remember from last week, we threw Burns under the bus and asked him about milk. He froze and had nothing to say, so I think next week, the next couple of weeks will be fun seeing how far we can get through these movies and what we can remember from them as well. It'll be quite interesting to see if we'd still rate them so highly or so lowly compared to the other ones that are on. So I'm quite interested in reading about that, and it'll give us a bit of a break from watching films, guys. We can actually, you can all catch up in the MCU. How about that?
No, you're alright.
I'm fucking feeling the excitement streaming out of everyone at the moment. But
so is this the week that Burns has said that me and him aren't going to be on?
No, week after, I think.
Week after.
Week before, so I can't remember.
listen,
Oh,
we will make sure.
Next week's going to be the two films, the two sad films. Then it's the Monday after that that's your birthday.
Oh, yeah, sorry. But we'll probably change.
So we'll change the night. We've already discussed this. 'Cause it's my birthday on the Tuesday, but I don't mind sacrificing it for movie club.
This will be the highlight of Daniel's day.
I was on my birthday 3 weeks ago. When
I know.
I didn't understand what they're doing on their birthday. It's going to be that exciting to kind of be on here, eh?
Oh no, it was.
I was spellbound by a broken leg, so I didn't.
Oh no, to me, it's not the fact it was my birthday. It was me the fact I knew Celtic were playing as well, so I was like,
Don't put it on me. Do not put it on me. I've never even mentioned it once. It's a little shite bag. If you want to take your birthday off, that's fine, but do not say, "Oh, Sean wants to go watch Celtic play."
You do though.
Oh, aye, but that's not the point.
Listen, leave Sean alone. He had a tickly throat last week, so he couldn't come on.
Might you fucking be got to the games anyway, so it might no matter.
Right, so you only watch it on the stream, then you'll be happy to come on here and talk about movies.
Oh no, I'm not be watching it for more.
Right, anyway, guys, I think this is all shit that nobody wants to listen to. We can talk about this offline. So that does bring us to the end. Like I say, no wheel spin this week. The movies are already up on Instagram. Please go in and comment under the posts that are coming in. We're getting some really good comments coming from people that are arguing with each other, never mind even just us. So crack on and get involved. Thank you very much for the hour and 15 minutes you've spent with us tonight. Have a good night.
Cheers.
Catch.